the part 2 episode following on from our last live session with Ian Genius. The world's what do you usually say? The world's
Earth's thickest genius.
Earth's thickest genius.
Yeah,
But absolutely, most definitely a genius in the selling without sales without selling space.
yeah.
So last week we had a little bit of a technical issue and we broke off. So this episode is just to wrap that one up. So Ian, where did we get to last time?
Good point, well made. So yeah, I had a technical issue with broadband. I'd forgotten one supplier was ending, another one was starting, and then even when you're on the phone saying, will you be on in a few minutes? I think it took me an hour to solve it. So that's the end of that. But we were talking about the subject. It's an important question. Are you getting the business you should be getting? If you think you are, probably chances are your conversion's already perfect. Everyone you speak to says yes. They take everything you recommend. They only ever take your best service. If you say no, let's work out where it's going. If you say, I don't know, Ian, I don't know if I'm getting the business I should, how can you tackle it? How can that? You need to know whether you should or shouldn't, and then we can work out a plan. If you don't know, it's all too vague. So this is just a little bit of a logical step to work out, do you genuinely know if you're getting it or not? And if so, where is it going? And now can we start doing something about it? Breaking problems into smaller problems. So I was just saying to you the other day, I said, imagine you had 10 conversations with 10 people you wanted to help and 10 people you could. So the only reason the conversation did not end up with a yes is they've said no to you and not you've said no to them.
Yes.
And we agreed by the end of it, let's say 10 conversations, 10 people you can help, 10 people you want to help. One says yes, therefore 9 say some version of a no. And that can be, we're going to use you in June, or what we're going to do is think about it. Either way, they never end up being anything. So then I said, well, when you're not getting those 9, where do you think they can go? And what did you say, Kat? Where do you think they can go if they don't go to you?
I said they could either go to a competitor,
Yeah.
or they could try and do it themselves.
Yeah.
Or they could just do nothing at all.
Okay. So in your world, yours is all about marketing strategy. Am I right?
Yes.
So in your world, what would be a competitor of yours? And I don't mean the actual person. I'm talking, what's the sort of category?
The category could be a marketing agency. It could be another marketing coach or consultant. It could even be online courses, trainings.
Yeah.
Do it yourself part.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are usually the 3.
Now so that's what really exists. The marketing agencies, the coaches, the consultants, the live training. Is there anything that, if I was a layperson, if I didn't know what marketing strategies was all about, but I thought I did, and I thought, well, I won't go to Cat, I'll go to something else. Is there anything that they would go to that maybe you don't deem as competition, but they think it is a competitor of yours?
So I think that the trainings are not really a competition.
So that the trainings aren't really, but they're deemed as competition.
But they're deemed as competition. So they would, in my mind, they would spend some money on these trainings, but they would still be left with the gap of how to make that training and apply it to their own situation in their business.
Yeah.
Which is what I do. So I don't only educate and give people the information that they need. I make sure it's very tailored so that they get the information that will help them get to the goals that they have.
Yeah.
rather than trainings which are very generic and they get all sorts of information, some relevant, some irrelevant, and then they have to not only sift out what's relevant for their business, but they also have to then learn how to apply it. And my skill set is applying that knowledge that I already have and
Yeah.
actually tweaking it and making it bespoke and tailored for their business and their
Yeah.
goals.
Because again, an example of this where people do branding, and most people who do branding get very upset because a layperson thinks branding is logo, right? So instead of going to you, the branding person, I go to Fiverr and get someone to do me a logo.
Yes,
Now, the thing is, it is competition, right? Because instead of going to the brand person, I spend my pennies with some person just doing a design.
correct,
So it's that world of just because you, as the expert, don't deem it competition, I, as the beginner, do.
correct.
But
Yes,
whether I'm right or wrong, so people, like you say, they can go to agencies and coaches and consultants that could do similar things, or they could go to something that's just generic. They get 20 pieces of information, 7 are useful, 13 are neither use nor ornament, and even the 7 that are any good, even the 7 that are good, they don't know actually how to apply them. And that's not a skill they have either.
no, exactly, exactly. And it goes for lots of different things, not only branding and logo, but websites. People think that they can go to a web developer and they'll get a website. Now, the problem with a website developer, building a website, is that they know how to build the bricks and if you compare it to building a house, they will build you the walls and the doors, yeah, and the frames and the windows and all of those things. But what you want it to actually look like and feel like, and how you want the actual home to function, that has to be done by architects, interior designers, and various other, people who come and do awesome things like plumbing and heating and electricity and all of those things. So when people are looking for websites, the same thing applies. They don't think they need someone like me because they just want the the walls and the doors and the windows and things. But that's not going to mean anything to the audience if you don't know who that website is going to be used by, and how that audience wants it to function. You're going to have a perfectly built house, but not built for the people that you want it to use it.
Yeah. So we've got competition, and
Yes.
competition's broken into two halves: the real competition and what they deem as competition, right? So that's one category. Then you said they'll try to do it themselves.
Mhm.
So in your world, what is it they actually end up doing themselves?
Well, especially nowadays, they use ChatGPT or some AI and they put in a generic prompt and out pops some generic stuff, generic emails, generic social posts, generic website pages, landing pages, etc. Um, and it's not, again, tailored to the audience because they haven't got that very specific audience in mind. So that's generally what happens these days, I think.
And is it fair to say that if they're asking ChatGPT for some advice, that they possibly don't know even what question would be the best question to even ask?
Absolutely.
So they're
Absolutely.
never even asking the question about which is the audience and which is the platform or any of the other things. So they're getting an answer back that's only answering a fraction of what they should, but they don't know. You can't even ask the right question.
Correct.
So you've got that. So you've got the competition, the right ones and the wrong ones. You've got some variation of doing it themselves. They could go on YouTube as well, couldn't they? They could read a
Yes.
bit of a book.
Yeah.
They could, you know. And then the last one is, did you say doing nothing?
Doing nothing. My very favorite.
Yeah. So what do they? So they have come to you with some sort of marketing issues. Then they
Yes.
decide to go away and do nothing. So what
Yeah.
typically happens to their issues?
well, their issues remain the same, albeit they're exacerbated, compounded. If they were not getting enough leads, their business would eventually tank,
Yeah.
at the end of the road. If they're not getting the right quality leads and they're spending far too much time and effort on poor quality leads that don't appreciate them and don't pay the value that they're worth, then they're just going to be prolonging the agony, but eventually getting to the same place and the business will just collapse.
So against the competition, it seems like we're competing against competition, but it could be the real competition, it could be the fake competition. Rather than doing it themselves, they end up doing it themselves badly because the information they get's out's generic. But the problem is they're not even asking the right questions in the first place. And it's giving generic answers, but only to 1/8 of the questions they actually need. And then they're doing nothing. And the problem's just gradually getting worse and worse and worse. Or is that fair? If someone comes to you and they say they've got no leads, that can't get worse, can it? You can't
No.
get less than no leads.
Yeah.
But is
Yeah.
it fair to say that because they haven't got any leads, that their amount of money is getting worse? It's getting less and less.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're not top. If they've got no leads, then, presumably, even if they've got a client, they still have a finite income stream. And the point of having a business is that it's, to get to the place where you've got growing income. That's
Yeah.
the whole idea. So you want to have more leads to keep topping that up, and clients, come and go. So you have to make sure that you've got that backup.
So we had 4 places in total that they could go. Your competition, doing it themselves and doing nothing. But in many ways, it's your inferior competition, doing it themselves badly and wasting their own precious time and completely ignoring the problem only to later regret doing nothing. But
Yeah.
1 time out of 10, they use you. If you were to try to put it into numbers and so you've got 9 people roughly at the moment. For every 10 chats, 9 don't say yes. So how many of the 9 do you think probably go to your competition?
Probably, I would say 4.
4. So we've
Yeah.
got doing it themselves and doing nothing. And we've
Yeah.
got 9 minus 4 leaves 5. So we've got 5 people. How many? 5 remaining between doing nothing and doing it themselves. How many of the 5 would do it themselves? Try and tackle it themselves. YouTube, AI.
2.
2.
Yeah.
And that leaves 3. So you've got 3 going to your competition, 2 doing it themselves,
Yeah.
and 3 doing nothing.
Yeah.
And if we go through it just at loose level, we've got 4 going to your inferior competition, 2 doing it themselves badly and wasting their own precious time, and 3 completely ignoring the problem only to later regret doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So a task for a later day was like, how do we stop the 4 going to the inferior competition? Let's look into that more. How do we stop the 2 doing it themselves badly? How do we stop the 3 doing nothing and regretting it? But we're starting to break this problem of, am I getting the business I should be getting, into a simple game: 1 for me, 4 to the competition, 2 to nothing, 2 to themselves, 3 to nothing. We're starting to break what seems a hard problem into lots of much smaller, easier problems. And now, if I say to you, if you, when you look at it, it goes to your inferior competition, do it themselves badly, or ignoring the problem only to later regret doing nothing. Are you getting the business you should be getting? Where it's like, no.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's suddenly clearer.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So what we can, obviously, next time we're going to go into, have you got a topic for us next time, Kat? Something that people like myself would struggle with?
Yes. So next time we'll be looking at the kind of cornerstone of marketing, which is knowing who you're talking to and what it takes to actually get to know your audience.
Yeah.
So that is the cornerstone of marketing, because everybody knows the best conversations are with people that you know. And marketing is just a series of conversations. Marketing and sales, right? It's just a series of conversations. So you want to have the best conversations, right? Like, there's no better conversations than having conversations with people like your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, somebody you really know very well. And the reason for that is because you know what's going to make them smile, you know what's going to wind them up, which is also fun. You know what's going to put a frown on their face. You know what's going to make them feel happy, sad, and all of the things. So you can make great conversations with all of those things built in. So yeah.
And it is key. Having the right conversations, having good conversations with the right people is key. Because again, I'll fall into this trap. Who can you help, Ian? Everyone. An infinite game, right?
Infinite game. How
And
do
it,
you answer that? How do you even start to categorize all the types of conversations when it's everyone?
and again, this is why it's going to work so well, because in my section, all it is about taking something that seems it's too hard. I can't deal with it. I don't know if I'm getting it or I should be getting it. Just break it. Let's break it into easy. Oh, I can see now. Same if you go, oh, I see. This is who I'm really appealing to. This is who I should be talking to. It's suddenly now I know what to write in my message because I'm not trying to write it for everyone. It's about simplification. Have you
Exactly.
got anything on your website, Kat, for anyone to download or to read up on, is there anything, have you got any worksheets or anything that you think would help anyone?
I do have a free download on my website at the moment. It's called, bear with me, I can't remember what the exact title is, but that's only because I'm...
Well, I'll tell just while you're finding it. So I've on my website, if you go
Yes.
to iangenius.co.uk, there's a free ebook. It's called 5 Things You've Never Considered to Improve Your Sales. Which ones do you assume won't apply to you? It's a free ebook. It's about 17 pages. You can read it in about 5 minutes, but it will get you to see selling in a completely different light. So if you go to iangenius.co.uk, scroll down a tiny teeth, put your details in, and you'll get a free ebook. And now you've located yours, Kat.
Yes, I have, and it's a really good resource. That book is a really, really fun read. I highly recommend it. So my website is ckgmarketing.co.uk, and if you scroll to the resources tab, hover over the resources tab, click on tools, you'll get a awesome little flyer, little download, 21 ideas for engaging posts and comments on social media. So we all miss a massive trick if we're not commenting and making engaging comments and putting our thoughts into social media posts. It's a missed opportunity. It's a huge way of developing authority online. So if you want to develop your brand and want to develop authority, then I highly recommend you download the 21 ideas for engaging post comments. And I'd love to know how you find that. Give me your feedback.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I look forward to yours presentation next time, where you start, we look into who is your target audience and go into that, because this is one of my frailties. It's like, you think you've got an offer for everyone and you're not getting the conversation started with the right people. My game's about improving outcomes of conversations, not necessarily creating conversations, which is why your skill set is coming in so useful. But lovely to speak to you again.
It makes the dancing cat and dog thing sort of,
Yes.
work, doesn't it?
Yes. And sorry, I was lazy today, so I couldn't be bothered to put a shirt and tie on, so I drew one on my t-shirt.
Love it.
Is that lazy?
That's brilliant. Very
Yeah.
efficient. Very efficient. Thank you, Ian, for joining me today, and look forward to the next time.
Cheers, Kat.
Speak soon.
Bye-bye.